Early and get us.
All right, it's 6 o'clock. We're recording. Go ahead and start with a round of introductions up here. My name is Alan Long. I'm the Ward 4 Position 2 Alderman.
My name is John Stevens Latour. I am the Ward 4 Position 1 Alderman. I was elected by the good people of Ward 4, but I represent all the people of Fayetteville because, as Alan well knows, our votes can impact every life in our city.
Usually we go around the room and introduce everyone, but not everyone can fit in the room, and there's a lot of people here. So we'll just kind of get started out with what we do every 3 to 4 months is just have a month reserved for neighborhood input. And then we move on to just generalized concerns that people want to talk to us about. So if you have a specific neighborhood issue, now's just raise your hand. Best time right now? Okay.
The Jeske property, whatever happened to that? It just sort of went away.
They are currently in discussions with their designer and developer, but haven't brought anything back to me yet. I've reached out several times, but no answer yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I think
Got a question for you.
Bill?
Something is going on. The university's doing something to that big, monstrous gravel parking area south of Hotz, just off Razorback. Do you know what they're doing?
I have a copy of the plans.
Do you?
I can show them to you after the meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
But they're just getting that lot ready. They hope to have it open by the next football season. So
Okay.
that's coming
So this
soon.
is parking lot that they're doing.
Correct. And there is some ingress egress happening right now on 2 Hotz, but it's all construction ingress egress, and we can't stop that. I know the condition of approval by giving them the access through the city's easement that we gave away was that they had no ingress egress, but construction ingress is by Arkansas state law. We can't stop that part of it. So.
And they also open up an entrance there on Hotz during the games,
Right.
which is, for me, not a big issue.
Well, and I saw that. We've addressed that with the university. They should not be doing that anymore. And if you do see that, just give me a call.
Okay,
Because
I'll do that.
I've talked to the chief of staff about that, and he'll enforce the ordinance when it comes to that. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey.
Aside from our representation, which is the most pertinent issue, anything about the safety or the expansion of Weddington Bridge across I-49?
That is still pending Arkansas Highway Transportation Department for their final. We're kind of at their mercy on that. So.
Is that like a 2-year projection? Or
I don't
still-
want to give you a date. I may be lying to you. Those tend to happen whenever the rest of the road happens and we're ready for that stage. So, but it should be within the next few years, I would think. So. Any other questions? Susan, was Beverly out there? She had a question.
Had a question about the ordinance already. She said she would wait till the.
Okay. Any other questions, neighborhood concerns? We did get some more information on the section of Rupel Road between Weddington Drive and Mount Comfort. That should start construction in 2016. They found some relics at that site, and that had to be handled by the federal government had to be involved with that, as well as the Indian tribe. So they have finally decided to mitigate in place, and that should be proceeding very, very soon. By the end of 2016, they should be breaking ground on that. So. And those are the 2 major updates that I can think about. Can you think of any, John?
No. Let's move on the agenda. Just so you all know, I have another meeting after this one, so I need to leave here at 10 of 7. That's 6:50. So if you want me to hear what you have to say, you need to get in there in that first 50 minutes.
Okay. So we'll just open it up for general comments and concerns now. We have about 50 minutes or so. You'll just, whoever wants to raise their hand. Mike?
Would you state your name and your address?
My name is Mike Emery. I live on Wildwood Drive in Ward 4. Been a resident of Ward 4 for 9 years. I'm happy to see you here to meet the residents of Ward 4 and Fayetteville as a whole. Many of us have tried to reach out to you, Mr. Latour, via social media recently to express our concerns, and many of us have met with resistance and even outright blocking. It's your option to do that, but to simply ignore the voices that you are elected to represent is a serious breach of trust between you and your constituents. The recent incident at a local business between you and an employee has brought nationwide attention and embarrassment to our city. It's also sent a message to the world about Fayetteville that in no way represents this city and what the citizens are about. This incident has also spurred the entire population of the city to look into your performance as alderman, which is what has brought all of us here tonight. In the past week, I've spoken with residents of Ward 4 from all walks of life and backgrounds. I have yet to find someone who's approving of your performance on the City Council on behalf of Ward 4. You, sir, apparently to be completely disconnected with the citizens of Ward 4. We have been watching from the beginning, and despite the huge red flag of you admitting to not knowing even what ward you lived in until deciding to run, many of us gave you the benefit of the doubt in hopes that you'd be effective in the role that you now hold. Now, after 15 months in office, it would appear that the only Ward 4 concern you have is connected to multiple attempts to gain a sidewalk in front of your residence and home business. Sir, there are many of us here in this room who do not have a sidewalk in front of our home. I'm one of them, and to repeatedly insist on one being installed at taxpayer expense for your own personal financial gain is unacceptable. Sir, your history of voting against so very many things that would be for the benefit of the city displays a certain lack of concern for the safety of the citizens of Fayetteville, or a lack of concern to the wishes of the citizens of Fayetteville. Police, fire, and library are all very important to this city, and your vocal opposition to those in recent votes is appalling. One concern that I have personally is your lack of appreciation for the work performed by committees and boards here in the city. Work performed by elected officials, city staff, and numerous non-paid volunteers from the citizens of Fayetteville. You, with your own words, have said that volunteer work is only valuable to a point. Sir, I have served and currently serve on city boards and committees. Many other Ward 4 residents do as well. You have stated that business is a more valuable use of our time. Sir, I and those other volunteers work and volunteer for the city. I commend you for having a long-time successful business, but to dismiss the efforts put forth by residents who both work and volunteer is completely unacceptable and frankly rude, especially since you've never volunteered for a non-paid city position in the many years you've lived in Fayetteville. So with all due respect, Alderman Latour, citizens of Ward 4 are tired of your ineptitude in the performance of your duties representing us on the City Council. Your work on the council has been the equivalent of there being an empty seat. We deserve proper representation from both of our aldermen. We're grateful for the service of Alderman Long and feel that he should have another capable person working with him for the benefit of Ward 4 and the City of Fayetteville. Therefore, Mr. Latour, we, the citizens of Ward 4, formally request that you immediately vacate the seat that you currently hold. You have an opportunity right here, right now, in front of the people of Ward 4 to do the right thing for them and step down. If you choose not to step aside, I assure you that the citizens of Ward 4 will work towards the recall effort. Thank you.
Mr. Emery, let me say, I certainly respect your right to come and voice your opinion.
Do you have enough, excuse me, if that's his answer, Jim Garlock, Ward 4, 20-year resident of Fayetteville, if that's the integrity that you want to represent Fayetteville with, it's a sad day for Fayetteville. An person with integrity would say, I made a mistake, I'm either offering up my resignation or I'll be a jerk and go through the process and the cost of a recall. Thank you.
Let me say this out of respect for all of you in Ward 4. I have apologized more than once over what occurred over a week ago. I have nothing more to say about it. And I will say, as I've said before, I'm not a quitter.
Are you a doer? Have you done anything positive for our ward?
Yes. Are you responsive in your government? I mean,
Oh, would you state your name, please?
Oh, sorry. Leo Altenberg, Heritage Village.
Are you in Ward 4, Lee?
Correct, on Heritage. I pay attention to the minutes of these meetings, and every time I look, and also the city meetings, it doesn't seem that you are actually responsive in your position, and that it's just sad for our ward as you're representing us, and it's just I didn't get to know you when we voted. Otherwise, I would have been more vocal to go against, since you're not actually doing what you signed up for.
I respect your opinion also, Lee.
Okay, right here.
I have a concern. My name is Allison Williams. I live in Ward 1. My concern is you calling for a boycott of a local business. I own a local business, and I know that in our city code it specifically states that kind of behavior is not appropriate. You can't work against local business as a member of the city council. So I'm a little bit confused as to why you thought that was okay, and as to why you haven't been removed automatically. That seems like a serious violation of code.
Well, as far as automatic renewal, you'll have to take that up with the state legislature or the Southern City Council members. I'm sure that can be accomplished.
We need to.
Thank you for voicing your opinion.
I would just echo, again, Jim, Ward 4, if you have the integrity which you claim to be, the businessman that you claim to be, and have the Fayetteville as your front and objectives of improving it, I would just ask simply that you could step down and do the right thing.
Respectfully, I
If you truly represent
refuse.
Fayetteville and the positive image of Fayetteville. Thank you.
Okay. And Kyle?
Excuse me. I'm Kyle Smith. I live on Dove Drive. I've been a Ward 4 resident for the last 19 years. And I also represent For Fayetteville, the organization that worked to pass the non-discrimination ordinance this summer. Now that the voters have settled that issue, For Fayetteville continues to represent an expanding group of people with a heart for this city and a passion for making it a better place for everyone. We support progressive initiatives, but we respect people with different political views. We would even welcome conservative views on the city council, and we'd love an opportunity to work to find common ground, even though we may not always agree. What we cannot tolerate, Mr. Latour, is an elected official who consistently acts to undermine the civility of our city government. Alderman Latour, you stand in opposition. That's all you do. It doesn't matter what the issue is. You've been a consistent obstacle to growth and progress in Fayetteville. In his 15 months in office, Alderman Latour has consistently voted to block federal grant assistance to city programs like the Fayetteville Farmers Market, housing assistance for the homeless. These are not new programs in our city. These are existing services that it seems you would rather see shut down. He touts streets, police, and fire protection as issues we can all support when he wants to shut down discussion of controversial issues, but then he voted against funding to increase police and fire coverage in Ward 4. He stands in opposition to nearly every effort to better Fayetteville's high quality of life as we come to enjoy it, like the world-class Fayetteville Public Library, our connected trails and sidewalk network, and efforts to protect our natural resources. Throughout his time, he's been dismissive, distrustful, and disrespectful of city staff. Residents can view those interactions for themselves on the government channel's video archives. For Fayetteville has been asked several times in the last few months to lead an effort for your recall. But we've been reluctant to run what we can't imagine could be anything but a negative campaign. That's just not what we're about, at least not what we try to be. But now that you've started to demonstrate that same incivility to the people that you represent, we recognize that sometimes the only way to do what's right for Fayetteville is to ask for better. When Mr. Latour was elected, 57% of the voters in Ward 4 were against him. Therefore, an effort to recall him in November is consistent with the will of the people. We come here today with petitions asking Ward 4 residents to sign, if you haven't already, in support of recalling Alderman Latour's seat on City Council so that we can elect a more committed and effective representative in his place. Recalling a local official in Arkansas is not an easy task. Our goal is 4,000 signatures in 120 days, and those have to be Ward 4 signatures. That's roughly 33 signatures a day, or 233 a week, and it's going to be a big job. It'll take all of us working together in our neighborhoods, around town. It's going to take us all to put you back on the ballot in November, Mr. Latour. I hope everyone here will see one of the 4 Fayetteville volunteers in the lobby tonight to sign the petition, sign up, find out how you can help with the effort. If you're at home, go to www.forfayetteville.com and make your commitment to volunteer for this effort tonight. Finally, make sure before you go that you've signed the petitions if you live in Ward 4. Together, we can ensure that Ward 4 is appropriately represented and that Fayetteville is better for all of its citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I certainly respect your right to express your opinion.
Again, Jim Garlock, it's a shame you don't have a vision for Fayetteville, that you are against many of the major issues that are positive. I would rather replace it with somebody up here that has a vision for doing something. This is not an interrogation where you want to take the Fifth Amendment. You want to do what's positive for Fayetteville. And again, the best thing that would happen would, if I can finish, would be for you to step down honorably and let the city save all the money, the time and effort to work on improving our already great trails, working on the overpass, which is a deadly overpass. If you walked it, you probably haven't since you don't have a sidewalk. But I plead with you, please resign. Thank you. You don't have to respect my opinion either.
Michael Collins, resident of Ward 4. Do I get my address?
Yes, sir.
Giles Road. I don't want to get specific since I've had my tires slashed in the past. But I would like to say that tumors, like cancerous tumors, do grow and they do progress. So I wanted to thank you personally, Mr. Latour, for hindering some of the progress that's actually a cancer against our First Amendment and our religious freedoms here in Fayetteville. I appreciate you standing boldly. As one gentleman said, we could spend money more wisely others. Like, the 40 grand we spent on the second election because they didn't get their way, so they rammed it through our throats again. Lost by the same number of votes that we won the last time, but we say it's settled now. That's kind of cute. But I do want to say that I do appreciate everything that you've done, and that walking path that you're so nice to let the citizens use and tourists so they can shortcut down to the Razorback Stadium. That is a very nice thing for you to do, and for you, a service that you offer for free to the city. And what that does is that actually allows, he lives in Ward 4, so, yeah. But anyway, that's a really nice thing that you do for free. It's a shame that they have to walk through that dangerous path with no sidewalk, and it's a shame that other people misconstrue what your intent is to keep them safe. I think that's very kind of you. But I do appreciate your work that you do for the city council. I'm glad that you don't kowtow to petitions by failed campaigns that didn't win your seat, and or Mr. Long's seat, and so that for whatever reasons they're doing the recall thing. I also appreciate you standing up for us when Sarah Marsh said that we had hearts of darkness for disagreeing with her, eloquently and without hate, for hours on end. So you brought dignity and respect back, and I think if anyone should resign, it should be Sarah Marsh, but that's a whole different story, don't you? I mean, hearts of darkness, you know what I mean? For disagreeing with her. I thought that was beautiful. But anyway, as you seek to stem the rising tide of sexual supremacy, of the extra special rights that bankrupt businesses that don't do what they're told by the certain elements of certain subcultures. I do appreciate you standing as a stalwart in that seat. I really do. Appreciate you, and I pray that you stay. And if there is a recall election, there's a few others that could stand to go before I'd like to see you go for sure. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Appreciate the sarcasm.
Hi, Mr. Collins, I respect your opinion also.
Yes.
Houston Hughes, Ward 2. Mr. Latour, I had a question for you. In the Fayetteville Flyer, they did a profile of you when you were running for election. And one of the quotes from you in that profile is, quote, "We should not make it criminal for a businessman to make an everyday routine decision." Completely reasonable sentiment. In what way is it not a reasonable decision for a business to remove a patron at their own discretion? And in what way is it then reasonable for someone in a position of power to use that position of power to try and interfere with that business?
I want to make this real clear. This is important. I've apologized 3 times already. I have nothing more to say. This is old news. You want to keep it alive? Keep it alive. I won't participate. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have a question right here.
Stephen Caldwell, Meadowcrest Drive, Ward 4. There's 3 times as many people outside that weren't able to get in here. I'm glad that I was able to get in here. I just want to say that you haven't officially apologized to the residents of Ward 4. We got the reports that you apologized to the waitress and that you apologized to Mr. Arcega himself. We appreciate that. Where is the statement? I apologize for my actions on behalf of the Ward 4 residents that I underrepresented in that action. Why don't we all get an apology too, Mr. Wood?
The apology to which you refer is on my campaign Facebook account.
That many of us are blocked from seeing, by the way.
Yes, sir, with your finger up.
Marvin K., Sunset Drive, Ward 4. I just really am amazed, Mr. Latour, at not just the fact that you got thrown out of a business establishment here, but that then you put your condemnation of Arcega's on your own Facebook page so that others would boycott the restaurant. And then you come here and sit blandly to tell us that you've apologized. You haven't apologized for anything. All you've done is enrage the population in Ward 4 and the voting public in Ward 4 to go against you. And I sure hope that we throw you out.
I respect your right to come and express your opinion.
Kyle?
Mr. Latour, let's, for just a moment, assume that we are not able to collect enough signatures to bring about your recall. You have 2 more years left in your term. How do you intend to continue representing your constituents in Ward 4 after bringing about this sort of animosity?
Mr. Smith, I cannot foretell the future. My crystal ball does not work very well. We'll have to wait and see.
Fair enough.
You have your hand up.
Yeah.
Back here.
Mr. Latour, Bob Stafford, Ward 2, University Avenue. I understand you've apologized for your egregious behavior to Arcega's and to the barista that you personally attacked. But there's a portion of the population that willingly, purposely, that I feel you attacked, and I don't know if you apologize to them, and that's the transgender community. These are people that suffer an inordinate amount of discrimination, job discrimination, housing discrimination, levels of violence, suicide rates, much higher than the rest of us. And to me, when you're questioning somebody else's gender identity in public, you're attacking that group of people and you're attacking that population. And these are people that have a hard time standing up for themselves. And these are the people that the human rights ordinance was put in place to protect. And I've had the pleasure and honor, I was just back in San Francisco, my second home, and I just had the honor and privilege of working with some fine people out there to do a photo project. I'm a photographer sometimes, and for the Transgender Day of Visibility. And I shot about 30 some odd people in 2 days. Young people, older people, beautiful people, doctors, nurses, lawyers, artists, computer programmers, people that are just like you and I, and people that have a very hard time. And these are the people you attack, willfully or unwillfully. I have no idea what your intent was. And I want to know, have you apologized to these people? And are you going to stand up, whether you like it or not? That ordinance was passed by the voters of this fine city. And you represent this fine city. And this is a national embarrassment. It is on national news. And people see this, and they see this ugly hate. Are you going to apologize to that portion of the community? Are you going to apologize to those people for demeaning those people, for lessening, for taking away? I mean, what you did was totally undignified and way below the office for which you were elected. And I hope you do get recalled. And that's all I have to say right now, I guess. Thank you.
Once again, I respect your right to come and express your opinion.
I just wanted to say that that man just said he shot about 30 people in one day, and it's on tape, and you can listen to it. You can put it on a reel and listen to it over and over again. Of course, he wasn't talking about physically shooting anybody, because the context of what went down explains why the words were used the way he did as a photographer. So too, when you make a joke offhanded to somebody about something like that, it's not the purpose, of course, of what you were saying, but I appreciate the fact that you've apologized to everybody and that you buried the hatchet with our sagas and with the barista, and that you're ready to move on. I don't know why everyone else wants to beat a dead horse, but I'm ready to do Ward 4 business.
Okay, Kyle, I believe you had your hand up next.
Andrew Miles, Caton Drive, Ward 4. Not to beat a dead horse, but to move forward, and to piggyback on what Kyle mentioned earlier, without a clear vision of what you want to do for the next 2 years, Mr. Latour, do you have any specific policy initiatives or goals that you would like to see done or attained in Ward 4 or the city of Fayetteville as a whole, besides your usual limited government and cutting of funds? Is there specific policy initiatives that you would like to focus on?
None that I will discuss in this setting. But I appreciate your interest.
Okay.
Isn't this the appropriate setting?
Yeah.
I mean, why don't we be as positive as you possibly can be and give us a vision of how you want to improve Fayetteville instead of just ripping up a poor barista and then getting on your Facebook page to condemn our Sagas.
Is there a question there?
Yes, there was a question. What are your policy proposals for the next 2 years that you're going to disgrace this office?
I have no policy proposals for the next 2 years that I think will disgrace this office. I try to bring dignity at every turn. I don't always succeed. I understand we'll disagree about that. But I'll do my best.
My name is Paul Faniff. I'm from Ward 1, not Ward 4. I have a couple of things that I'd like to mention. One is that I read the article that was in the paper. And when I read it, the only things that I heard or read that were said that I could, so that I could absorb some information as to exactly what happened, there were two spokespeople who said what they had to say that were for Fayetteville, who weren't there at the time. one of the statements that was in the paper was blatantly false, and it was spoken by one of the people who was responsible with organizing this, what I consider to be a lynching, because you have the audacity to be a conservative. And I'm not sure, but I think that when the people of Fayetteville voted for you, they weren't voting you a new and higher level of human perfection, but rather they were giving you a responsibility to represent them. And for what it's worth, despite the organization that went behind this meeting, because clearly this many people coming out and this many cameras from the media, this is not a spontaneous reaction. This is an organized event. That's fine, and by all means, everybody has the freedom to do that. But let's not pretend that it's something other than it is. This is what I consider to be weaponized hypersensitivity. It's taking our feelings, and we all have feelings, about various things, and weaponizing it, using it in such a way that it can be twisted and warped and made to say something that was not intended. And I'm just hearing a whole lot of conversation from people that weren't there and probably didn't speak to anybody that was there, but are only getting their information from the people who put a false statement in the paper. And I, for one, would like to say for the record that I appreciate the fact that you speak your conservative views forthrightly, particularly when it comes, as far as I'm concerned, to financial matters. Because I am for limited government. I am sick and tired of big government. I'm tired of weaponized hypersensitivity being used as an excuse to deprive people of their unalienable rights, and that's what I see happening here. So I'd like to thank you for the fact that you speak forthrightly. I don't think that you did anything wrong based on how I know you, and like I said, I know what I read in the paper was false. So just keep on trucking.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name's Morgan Rush. I don't live in Ward 4, I live in Ward 2. And to go on what he just said about weaponized hypersensitivity, I think it's one thing to talk about that, and it's another thing to use your position to be so sensitive to have hurt feelings to attack a business after they declined your business. So, in my opinion, that's a little bit bigger deal. And it's not just hurt feelings, that's using your office to hurt someone's business.
Point of clarification, because of the election rules, it is my understanding that this election was won with 40% of the vote, which is not a majority.
Let's, just in general, if y'all will talk this direction, and that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Since there were multiple candidates running.
Right.
Okay.
One of the losers of the previous candidacy.
Thank you, Michael.
Spearheading all the
Raise your hand.
circus we see here.
Just raise your hand if you. Thank you.
I'd just like to make an additional comment. You don't apologize for something you didn't do. You've apologized according to your own saying 3 times. I don't, that's fine with me. It's just the problem I have isn't that you apologize. The problem I have is with you. You're not fit to serve the office of an alderman in this city. And you've demonstrated that beautifully. And this isn't a case of weaponized, whatever you call it.
Hypersensitivity.
Hypersensitivity. I'm not hypersensitive about it. I think that Arcegas has a perfect right to be able to sell its products to people in Fayetteville or anybody else who wishes to come in, and to hire staff that they trust. It just amazes me that you, of all people, could have been kicked out of Arcegas because you were such a jerk. That's where you stand on things. And that's not my terminology, being hypersensitive. That was in the editorial today in the local paper. And I think they really got it right, at least on that point.
I respect your opinion, and I respect the editorial's right to express his opinion, that writer. You're right. It was his opinion. I agree.
I don't see any other hands going up. Okay.
We have a hand?
Could we take a quick break to rotate in some folks who have not had a chance to?
Well, I would appreciate anybody that has spoken and doesn't want to, if they would let other people from the hall come in, that'd be appreciated.
What was your position before being the president? President.
I don't know that the people out here heard that. No, they didn't hear you.
Can we proceed with possible
We can let it
legal?
however many want to. Thank
You
you.
all can come in if you want. In the hallway.
Need to text for your meeting here, or are you in the moment? Apparently he's not in the moment. How can we proceed with the legal, when he is trying to boycott a city, company, institution, to have that removed? And if so, if he has to go through any retraining, sensitivity, I think that should be borne by him, not our taxpayers.
Did you have a question? Or?
Yeah, is he gonna do anything positive for the Ward 4?
I can't speak to that.
Certainly, yes, I will.
What are you gonna do?
That remains to be seen.
Thank you. It's been entertaining.
Like I said, I can't tell the future. Can you?
I work towards the future.
So do I.
I haven't seen it. But where are the petitions? Just
We have them.
out there. Good, thank you. I know you're a busy man, and you have other things tonight, so if that's all you're going to do is respectfully respect somebody's opinion or disrespect somebody's opinion, you might as well save us all time, and we'll move forward if you have nothing else positive to say. Does anybody else have anything?
When is Ruppel Road going to go through? Yeah. What's the time? Do you get either of you know anything about that?
Mm-hmm. Actually, Rupel Road, we talked about that at the beginning of the meeting. The relics that they found at the intersection, close to the intersection, there's a creek close to the intersection of Rupel Road and Mount Comfort Road, and they found relics there. And the Indian tribe had to be involved with that to mitigate that, so that we made sure we weren't damaging a historic site. That was federal law. And so we're expecting them to break ground. They gave us a projection of the end of 2016 right now, but it has taken longer than we wanted.
Any word about Shiloh going through from Weddington to Porter in order to ease some of that backup on the off-ramps there?
We don't have the information on the Arkansas Highway Transportation Department.
That would be highway business there, right?
When does Ruppel go through over to 62? When is that scheduled?
Ruppelled all the way to Highway 62. That's under construction. Are you to Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's under construction.
Is it under now?
Yes.
Okay.
That's supposed to go up to 112, right?
All the way, eventually. But the farthest north section, that has not been platted yet. So. Any other questions? I can't see some people, so. Yes, back here.
I'm going to probably get very nervous speaking because I don't usually do that in front of people, but I am Ward 4, am a business owner here in Fayetteville. And
What is your name?
Jeanette Beltram.
Hi, Jeanette.
And to know that you could actually go onto your Facebook and represent yourself in a way that if I were to vote you in, you are not representing what I stand for, and for you to go in and criticize and say something about a business because they have said they are going to have any person within their business that they want to hire. Whether you are gay, lesbian, whatever you are, I, as a business, have the right to hire whoever I want. And for you to go on your Facebook and use your political power to be able to stand, you know, to write publicly what you feel is your personal opinion, and to make other people say, do not go to that restaurant. If you were to have done that to my restaurant and tried to destroy it, which you probably have to our Segas, you have turned a lot of people away probably. That is their income. That is their livelihood. Do you know what your speech is doing to these small businesses, these local businesses? You do not stand for who I want in office. You do not stand for me. But yet you are representing the people here in Fayetteville, but not me. And I do not think it is appropriate with your speech and what you had said to the people and not to go to that restaurant. That damages things. It damages people's hearts, minds, and soul. And you have destroyed that. What kind of man are you to stand there with your beliefs? I understand you can have your belief system, but there is a place where you can say, you are in a political power though. You have to uphold yourself in a political position and then have your personal. You can have your personal, but don't bring that out in the public, because we need to trust and believe who we have hired within or have been within this power and their control. I can't believe that that's what you felt comfortable to do, and to disgrace somebody and to make them feel as they did. I mean, how do you think, how can I now look at you and say you're standing for our people and for my community?
Let me start off by saying you have nothing to apologize for in the way of oratory skills. You did a very good job. And I certainly agree with you. You're free to hire whoever you please. Thank you for sharing your opinion.
We have room for one more room.
There's room here.
Two seats. Two seats. Beth, if you just want to.
How does that?
Question back.
How does that make you personally feel? I mean, to know that you are smearing, you yourself are smearing another restaurant and telling people, do not go to this place because someone looks a certain way. That is a question for you. Do you care?
I do care.
Do you?
I do.
And can you
I do.
answer how you,
And
you've been able to share publicly your personal thoughts and opinion vocally on Facebook. How about you share your personal opinion in front of me and to all the people that are asking you these questions, and you're sidelining us?
I'm telling you the truth when I tell you I do respect your opinion, and I respect your right to express that opinion. I knew tonight was not going to be pleasant, and I was right, wasn't I?
Yes.
But I will come and talk to you. I will come before you, and I'll let you tell me all these things you want to tell me. I could have skipped this meeting. I have a lot of things going on my desk right now. I really don't have time. But I wanted to make time to come here.
You may want to step down if you don't have time.
Okay, let's stick to raised hands. Let's do one right
Stephen
here.
Caldwell, Shadowcrest Drive, Ward 4. You just stated that you do not have time to represent us. Your job is to have time to represent us.
I just told you, Mr. Caldwell, I made time.
It's shameful and disgusting.
Am I here?
I agree.
Am I here?
Leaving early.
6 minutes, actually.
I saw another hand over here, I feel like. In the very back, yes.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Hello, Ben. It's a little rough sailing tonight.
Yeah, probably so. I just have one. I was in South Carolina all week, so I saw this whole thing unfold on Facebook. I like to think I know your politics pretty well. Very pro-business. I have one question, and that is why, in detail if you wish, did you say to not go to a business having such a pro-business stance on government?
Knee-jerk reaction that was removed within about 24 hours. After I gave it some thought, I posted praise for Kerry Ortega, his entrepreneurship, and I still stand by that statement.
Thanks.
Sure.
Did any portion of that knee-jerk reaction have anything to do with the tension between you and Mr. Arcega over the major events ordinance that we witnessed at the last Ward 4 meeting?
I'm going to wade out into some waters here. Let me tell you this. Kerry and I probably vote for different candidates. We probably line up on different sides of issues, but we've been friends for 25 years. I think it's a very good sign of a mature friendship when you can disagree and still be friendly. I wish I were feeling that same friendliness from the people that disagree with me here tonight. From the bottom of my heart, I want to be your friend. I hate no one. I hate no one. Let me say that again. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I hate you. My wife and I disagree on some things. My children and I certainly disagree on some things. Does that mean I hate them? Not at all. To disagree is not to hate. Please understand that.
So,
yes, sir.
Thank you. I don't ever want to insinuate that we hate you. That has never been said. We disagree with you. We have Fayetteville interest at heart, and we think if you would reevaluate the situation, and if you truly have Ward 4 and Fayetteville's interest at heart, you would think, I'm doing a disservice to this. You yourself don't have time. You're leaving in 4 minutes. I'm a busy person too. I wouldn't want the job. We do not like you. We disagree. I ask you again, would you please think over possibly resigning and doing what's right for Fayetteville in the next 24 hours? Thank you. That was my question.
Well, my answer is the same. I won't quit.
Well, don't think. Just
thanks for your persistence.
I feel like I saw a hand right here.
Yeah, I'm just behooved at your demeanor and your unwillingness to accept your responsibility. As a counselor, I can tell by your body language and as I'm observing you and your conservative ideology, which I am conservative as well, and have those conservative beliefs, and just the whole conservative ideal that you present is just very, very just atrocious. To call yourself,
could I get your name?
Balance Reed, Ward 4. So what I'm witnessing here is just very, as a Christian perspective, that you do not represent a man of Christian values that that I'm seeing here, and for you to portray this and go about business and that you're conservative, you're a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite of what the Christian beliefs stand for. Christian beliefs is about love, compassion, and treating mankind with dignity and respect. You do not do that in Arcegas. You do not do that at all. You say that the people hate you and they dislike you and they disagree with you. It's all narcissistic behavior. Everyone else is against you. You're feeling the pressure. You're not owning up to your behavior. You're smiling, you're laughing, thinking it's a game and it's a joke. We are very serious about how you represent the people of Ward 4. We are very serious of how you conduct yourself. You have to conduct yourself in a manner that represents all people. Just because you got 40% of the vote, you don't represent all the people. We have different viewpoints, but when you step into that office and you come in and you come to work, you need to put your personal feelings aside and make sure what's done for Ward 4 is in the best interest of all Ward 4 citizens, not just conservative viewpoints and not just your personal viewpoints. Now, I find it highly offensive that you will sit here and you will blame everyone else for your behavior. You say you apologize, but you won't resign because you are not going to quit, but your behavior doesn't demonstrate somebody, a man of character, compassion, humility, and grace.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I respect your opinion also.
No, I'm Mr. Jones.
Excuse me, Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, so you, wow, so I gave you my name, and then you give me somebody else. That's.
Thank you, folks. I've got to go.
Okay.
Bye.
Please think about resigning.
We still have about 10.
I'd like to just raise that question.
Okay, hold on, just 1 second. Let's let everybody kind of get moving that are moving, and then we can hear better. Okay, I'm sorry, Jim.
No problem. I appreciate your handling this in such a productive way. I think it's very evident there's a lot of frustration by our other leader, if you will, and I use that term loosely. I would like to see about the person who was sitting here earlier had mentioned about if there is a possibility of removing this alderman, use that term loosely, on the ability of him using his position and saying not to go to a business. I find that really offensive to say, don't go to this coffee shop or that coffee shop. If there's a way that we can get him out that way, I think that would be a really positive move for Fayetteville.
Okay,
Could you look into that for us, please?
Well, I can give you a generality in an answer, because I'm not going to be involved, of course, in anything ongoing with a single alderman on the council at the time. I don't think that'd be productive for my relationship.
What's the legal ramifications?
But
I can talk to you about that afterwards if you want. I'm a lawyer.
there is a process. I can tell you that. It requires a certain percentage of voters in the city of Fayetteville. The way I look at it for myself as an alderman is that people in this room, as well as the other voters in the city of Fayetteville, are my boss. And you are the only people who can recall me from office. And the election would be in November with the rest of the elections every 2 years.
Okay. I just hate to see the expense efforts when they could be for such better uses, if he would just have the integrity to say, I'm not doing what's right for Fayetteville, I've broken the fractions, and even with my beliefs, I'm not going to be able to pull this through. If you have his ear, since we don't, we would appreciate it.
If I have what? I'm sorry.
If you have his ear, since he said about, oh, I appreciate your feelings.
Well,
if you have his ear, we would appreciate, the majority of the people in Ward 4 would really appreciate him getting fresh blood in there that has a vision for Fayetteville.
Well, very honestly, it sounds like city business, and it would be illegal for John and I to discuss it outside of a public meeting, so
Okay.
that's something I'd feel uncomfortable with.
Okay.
Well, it'd be illegal, so I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But that is what I discussed before. That is the general process. Yes.
I had a question.
Sure.
Is it, it's my understanding that the city council, it is our job, if we want someone removed, that we have to do that through the petition process.
Correct.
But you as the city council have the ability to censure a member of the council for behavior.
I believe 3/4 of the council can, with no effect. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
I understand. Would this be an appropriate time for people to express to you if they wish for you to do that?
I will be very upfront with you. I don't believe that's productive to anyone's relationship with anyone on the council, especially the person you have to work with, to be involved in initiating a censure of an alderman. There's no outcome or result of that.
Okay.
And so, I mean, my focus is continuing on running the city of Fayetteville to the best of my ability and doing what I can for the people in this room. And I put a lot of hours into that every day. But as far as a censure, there's no real result or effect of that. So I probably won't be involved in anything of that nature.
I understand. Well then, as a welcome change, could you tell us what you have planned for the next 2 years for the city and for Ward 4?
I do have some things that I like to keep a surprise. And you'll be hearing about them in August, more than likely.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
But I do plan on continuing to work with the University Overlay District to come up with a complete neighborhood plan for that area. That's one of my next goals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I just heard you say that you're planning to run again.
Well, like I said, I like to keep everything a surprise.
But in August, you're going to give us the surprise.
I believe so.
Very good.
That sounds like good applause tonight. Do we have any other questions? Anything related to Ward 4 is issues that, you know, you may be having? Ken?
Well, Schaefer's left. Now, I don't know if Beverly brought it up, but apparently Alderman Petty has made some proposed change to accessory structures that has gone through Planning Commission and will come up for City Council in 8 days, which in theory would make it easier for homeowners to have rental units on their property. I don't know any of the details. She left, and I suspect that we will be at the City Council meeting a week from tomorrow in opposition to this change, or at least sending it to ordinance review for studying. It looks like that the changes could have more effect in the University Heights area than anywhere else in the city.
Okay, the agenda did just come out. I can give you a copy of that. When it does come to the actual City Council meeting, which is a week from this Tuesday, I will ask that it not be passed on the first reading or moved to a second reading, and I'll ask that it be sent to ordinance review. I've got to get a lot more details on that because we did just get access to that.
She would get with you later about the details.
Okay. That's
They
great.
had another meeting
And
as well.
okay, and as soon as I find out more, I'll post that information on the Ward 4 Facebook page as well as Long Ward 4 Facebook page and make that available to anyone who wants to look at that. So.
Hey, Alan,
Craig.
is there any way that we can get patrol stepped up in Clabber Creek, in Bridgeport, between the hours of 3 and 6 in the morning? Because there is a lot of cars getting broke into over there, a lot.
Bridgeport and Clabber Creek?
Clabber Creek, yeah, I mean, just, you know, that whole portion on the west side.
I have reported that you are the 6th person, I believe, that's mentioned something about that to me. And in that general area, I have requested additional patrols.
And I don't know, yeah, I mean, I know you guys are short-staffed or
Well,
short-staffed.
it's not that. I mean, I'm Lieutenant Partain, I'm the night shift patrol lieutenant. I mean, within the last couple of weeks, we've made some arrests. I mean, we've got a bunch of 4 that have admitted to 110 break-ins in the city. They actually don't live in the city, they're coming in.
Right.
So we're trying.
Well, and I know, and I respect what you guys do, don't get me wrong. I know that you can't have a presence at all times. It's just either, I just wish there was something that we could either collaborate through the neighborhoods or something, because I mean, there's tires getting sliced now, and I mean, car windows getting broken, and I mean, I know you know what I'm saying, but that's what I mean, is that if there's anything we can do, you know, as a community in that section of Fayetteville to try to, you know, signage or something. I mean, neighborhood crime watch signs, get more of those up, or just something.
Well, I'll get with you after the meeting, and I'll
Okay.
get some information, and I'll put you in touch with the right person at the police department.
Okay.
We will step it up along with that.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up again, Craig. But as a general side note, our police force has actually grown in the last year, and so we should have, it should be more dense patrols in certain areas.
Well, I know as those guys grow, our city grows, so I mean, I think we're kind of keeping on even pace. I don't know if you guys.
We've got 10 new officers in the training program right now, so in the
Mhm.
next couple of months, you'll see that increase.
Yeah.
But we've had some retirements, and we're just normal stuff,
Well,
having babies and stuff like that.
And not to interrupt, but and I think I brought this up a long time ago, is trying to put like a substation at the fire departments for, you know, just to where when people are driving down waiting to drive, if there would be criminals or whatever, just so they see that the police are on that side of town.
They have set up a station at the substation at the station on that was part of it. At the station on the waiting time. It's set up.
And that was done a few months ago.
Within the last month, that's been set up.
Because I talked to our chief of police, Greg Tabor. We had a meeting about 4 months ago about the possibility of initiating that, and they actually started that recently. So,
Okay.
that's a wonderful use of city property because the fire department's already there. And what it allows police to do is keep more boots on the ground at one time, because then they don't have to drive so far to take a break, because they're carrying, how many pounds of equipment do you carry?
Well,
About
that's what I
35
mean.
pounds, yeah.
If
So
I
it
think
helps.
somebody driving down Weddington at 3 o'clock in the morning and they see 2 or 3 patrolmen coming through Rupel and Weddington, they know that there's police over here and that, it might curb things, so.
It definitely, I think, helps keep, within your beat boundary, I think it helps keep those officers there.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a completion date set for the Clever Creek Trail extension between Rupel and Salem?
Yes.
It's been off and off again construction for many, many months now.
Yeah. Can I get your email after the meeting, and I'll email that to you? With it being a wet area, it does take longer, and they had to actually install a boardwalk on part of it, and that was part of the Army Corps of Engineers requirement. So the date has kind of been flexible a little bit, but I can get you the information for sure. All right, well, it is 7:01, but if we have one more question, I'll take one more. How about that?
I'll just have a comment. We appreciate your hard work.
Glad to, Jim.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, I'll be around for a few minutes.